What happens when the noise fades? When the children have families of their own? When your partner once beside you at every meal is now just a memory? For many older adults, the answer comes quietly through long evenings, unanswered phones, and mornings that feel heavier than they should. Mark Thompson at 62 found himself standing in that silence. No career to wake up for, no footsteps echoing down the hall, just the questions so many are afraid to ask out loud. What now? This isn't just Mark's story, it's a reflection of what millions face in their later years. And it's a reminder that aging doesn't just test the body, it tests the spirit. To live healthy after 50, we need more than good habits. We need clarity, courage, and connection. Senior health means learning how to heal emotionally, not just physically. So if you've ever sat in your kitchen feeling the weight of quiet, wondering how to keep going when you're the only one left, this video is for you. Before we begin, please like this video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us reach more people looking for senior health tips, healthy aging, and emotional strength. What do you think is the hardest part of growing older alone? Share your thoughts in the comments. I read everyone. Let's explore what it really means to age with resilience, even when no one is by your side. Thumb review 1. Accept the emptiness, but don't let it define you. Keyword: senior health tips, aging gracefully advice. There's a moment that sneaks up on many of us after 60. It's not marked by a birthday, a diagnosis, or a dramatic life event. It's quiet, ordinary. You're standing in your kitchen. The television hums in the background. You glance at the clock, and for the first time you notice no one is expected. That silence feels heavier than usual. You don't realize it right away, but what you're feeling isn't boredom. It's a loneliness. And if you're like many older adults, you push it down. You distract yourself with small tasks. Maybe tidy the living room, rewatch an old show. But it returns. Sometimes in the early morning, sometimes in the middle of the night. Experts say over 40% of adults over 60 experience frequent loneliness. And yet few talk about it. Why? Because for decades we've been taught to endure, to stay strong, to take care of others before ourselves. But senior health isn't just about blood pressure or bones. It's about the quiet emotional battles we face every day and how we respond to them. Jim Reynolds is 68. He lives just outside Pittsburgh. After losing his wife to cancer and watching his 2 daughters move across the country, he found himself in a home that used to be full, now full of silence. He didn't admit it at first. He told neighbors he was doing fine. But at night, the silence turned to sadness, and that sadness slowly drained his energy. He stopped cooking meals. He skipped walks. Days blurred together. One morning, while checking his mailbox, he bumped into Marla, a retired teacher who lived a few doors down. She smiled and said, "You don't get out much anymore." Something about her tone was kind, not judgmental, just noticing. And Jim replied, "Yeah, I guess I haven't felt like it lately." She didn't press. But the next day she knocked on his door and said, "I'm heading to the park for a short walk. Want to come?" He hesitated, but then he grabbed his coat. That first walk was quiet. Not many words, but it did something. It reminded Jim that he wasn't invisible. That's how the change begins. Not with therapy or moving to a new city, but with a moment of connection, a decision to accept the emptiness and then take one small step outside of it. Aging gracefully isn't about denying pain. It's about recognizing that feeling lonely doesn't mean you failed. It means you've lived long enough to feel loss, and that in itself is proof of how deeply you've loved. Jim now walks 3 times a week with Marla and a small group of retirees. They swap stories, complain about the news, share small victories like finding a good cup of coffee or sleeping through the night without waking up. It's nothing extraordinary, but it's enough. Here's the truth most people won't say. Out loud, loneliness won't vanish completely. It shows up again, especially on birthdays, anniversaries, holidays, when chairs sit empty. But the goal isn't to erase loneliness. It's to stop letting it define your days. One study from the National Institute on Aging found that older adults who engage in even light social interaction just twice a week show improved memory, lower blood pressure, and better sleep. These aren't just feel-good benefits. They're foundational to senior health. You don't have to host dinner parties or join a club if that's not your style. You just need one person, one conversation, one reason to get up, get dressed, and walk out your door. If you're still grieving, that's okay. If you feel guilty for feeling empty, that's normal. But aging gracefully means learning to hold space for both the sadness and the hope. You are not weak for needing others. You are human, and there is dignity in admitting that. The house may be quieter now, but you still have a voice and the courage to speak it. Because what you do with the silence is what shapes the rest of your life. Subscribe 2, build a new routine before loneliness builds you. Keywords: daily habits for longevity over 60 wellness. There's something unsettling about free time when you're not ready for it. In the first few weeks after retirement, many people feel relief. No alarms, no meetings, no deadlines. But as the weeks pass, the quiet hours stretch longer. And without a plan, that freedom can start to feel like a trap. That's what happened to Larry Jensen. He was 66, retired early after decades working maintenance at a factory in Michigan. For the first time in years, he had time to rest. But by the third week, the novelty wore off. He started staying in bed later, watching TV until midnight, forgetting meals. There was no more rhythm to his day, and slowly he began to feel like time was slipping through his fingers. What Larry didn't realize is this: without structure, the mind begins to unravel. Researchers from Harvard have found that older adults without regular routines experience faster cognitive decline and higher rates of depression. Why? Because routine anchors us. It gives shape to the day and purpose to our energy. One afternoon, Larry's neighbor knocked. Annie, a retired nurse, asked if he'd come to the community center that evening. Just for bingo, just for company. He almost said no, but he hadn't talked to anyone all day, so he went. That night didn't change his life, but it gave him something he hadn't felt in weeks: belonging. The next morning, he made himself breakfast and walked 2 laps around the block. The following day, he added 5 minutes of light stretching. These might seem like small things, but small things done daily change everything. Building a new routine isn't about staying busy. It's about reminding yourself that you matter, that your hours still have weight, and that even in retirement, your days can be full of intention. Start simple. Wake up and open your curtains. Feel the morning light on your skin. Move your body even gently, a short walk, a few arm circles, deep breaths by the window. Midday, do something that activates your mind. Crossword puzzles, reading a chapter of a book, calling a friend just to chat. These are the daily habits for longevity that support not only physical health, but emotional well-being. Don't underestimate the power of meals. Instead of skipping or eating on the couch, make lunch a ritual. Set the table. Turn on music, savor your food. Small habits like this help build consistency, and consistency keeps the mind grounded. Larry eventually created his own routine: a 7 a.m. walk, coffee with a neighbor, a chapter of mystery fiction after lunch. Twice a week, he volunteers at the library, and every Thursday, he helps teach a gentle exercise class for older adults. He says it saved him, not from illness or danger, but from fading away quietly. Over 60 wellness isn't just about getting your steps in or taking vitamins. It's about using each day as a tool to protect your mind and spirit. The truth is, loneliness often sneaks in when there's nothing else on the calendar. But if you shape your day with simple, meaningful activities, loneliness has less room to grow. And here's the most important part. You don't need to follow someone else's plan. You just need to build one that reflects who you are. Because the hours are still yours. And the way you fill them, that's the key to aging, not just longer, but better. Number 3, strengthen financial and physical independence. Keywords: senior health longevity tips, doctor tips for older adults. It's a hard thing to admit, but sooner or later, every older adult realizes your children can't be your safety net forever. They care, they love you, but they have lives, kids, jobs, and stress of their own. That's not betrayal, that's reality. And it's why building true independence, financial and physical, is one of the most powerful acts of aging wisely. John Mallory was 70 when he fell in his kitchen. Just a quick slip, a spilled glass of water. He wasn't badly injured, but the shock stayed with him. He lay there for nearly an hour waiting for help before remembering he hadn't charged his phone. His son lived across town. His daughter was on vacation. He said later, "That fall woke me up more than any birthday ever did." That same week, John sat down at his dining table with a notebook and pen. He wrote 2 lists. 1. What would happen if I got sick or injured? 2. What steps can I take now so I don't have to rely on someone else? He started with money. He reviewed his insurance, medical bills, and monthly expenses. He canceled unused subscriptions, switched to generic medications. He created a plan for emergencies, so if something serious happened, he wouldn't feel helpless or become a burden. It's not about fear, it's about control. And for seniors, financial control brings peace of mind. According to a study by the AARP, over 60% of older adults worry about outliving their savings. That fear causes stress, and chronic stress studies show increases the risk of heart disease, stroke, and even memory loss. Taking time to review your finances isn't just smart, it's a part of senior health, because peace of mind helps your body relax, sleep deeper, and heal faster. But independence doesn't stop with money. Your body is your daily support system. And as we age, we either maintain it or we slowly give up control without even realizing it. That's why John added one more rule to his list: move every day, even if just for 15 minutes. He started with stretches while the coffee brewed, then short walks after lunch. He stopped thinking of exercise as punishment. Instead, he saw it as a promise to himself. Doctor tips for older adults consistently highlight the same truth. Motion is medicine. A body in motion stays stronger, heals quicker, and falls less often. You don't need to join a gym. You just need to stay active enough to carry groceries, climb stairs, and catch yourself if you stumble. That kind of strength is what keeps you in your home and out of the hospital. Longevity tips aren't about living forever. They're about making sure the years ahead are yours to enjoy, not endure. To wake up knowing you can make breakfast without help. To know you have enough saved to fix the heater or pay a medical bill without calling your kids in a panic. Independence at 70 doesn't begin with luck. It begins with the decisions you make at 60, the habits you build, the budget you understand, the strength you preserve. John still lives alone today, but now he keeps a charged phone near his bed. He has a folder labeled "in case of emergency" that his kids know about. He lifts light weights in the morning and plays cards twice a week with friends. He's not trying to prove anything. He's just protecting the life he loves. And that in many ways is the greatest kind of freedom. For 4, companionship is not a replacement, it's a renewal. Keywords: healthy aging, senior home remedies. No one teaches you how to love again after loss. There's no guidebook, no calendar that tells you when it's okay. What lingers is the guilt, the quiet voice that whispers you're betraying the one you lost. That's how Evelyn felt. She was 71, widowed after 43 years of marriage. Her husband passed during the height of winter, and for a long time, so did her joy. She didn't go out. She didn't laugh. Even when friends invited her over, she'd politely decline. She told herself it was just too soon, but the truth was she didn't know if she was allowed to be happy again. Then one Sunday morning at a gardening workshop hosted by the local senior center, she met Richard. He wasn't trying to impress anyone, just a retired bus driver who liked begonias and had kind eyes. They struck up a conversation about tomatoes, then swapped tips on keeping squirrels out of raised beds. Later that week, he called and asked if she'd like to walk through the arboretum with him, just as friends. She said yes, and as they walked, she laughed for the first time in months. Healthy aging isn't just about blood pressure or calcium levels. It's about letting joy return even when your heart still carries old grief. According to a report from the National Institute on Aging, strong social connections are linked to a longer life, reduced risk of dementia, and lower levels of chronic inflammation. Emotional health in many ways is one of the most powerful senior home remedies. Evelyn worried that her kids would judge her, that her neighbors would talk, that even she would feel like she was erasing her husband's memory. But as Richard became a quiet presence in her life, walking with her, listening to her, sharing dinner every now and then, what she found wasn't replacement, it was renewal. They never rushed anything. There were no declarations or wedding plans, just steady companionship. Someone to share news articles with, someone to remind her to water the plants, someone who noticed when she didn't eat enough or seemed a little off. That kind of care doesn't erase the past. It adds meaning to the present. For older adults, late-in-life companionship often comes with complications, blended families, memories that still sting. But it also comes with freedom. You're not seeking rescue, you're seeking presence. And in a world that moves faster than ever, presence is a rare and healing gift. Senior home remedies aren't just herbs or teas. They're the habits and relationships that soothe the soul, and nothing soothes the soul like being seen, really seen by another person. Evelyn still keeps a framed photo of her husband on her dresser. Every morning she touches the frame and says hello. Then she pours 2 cups of coffee, one for herself and one for Richard, who always arrives at 8:30 holding the newspaper and a new story to tell. She hasn't forgotten the love she had. She simply made room for a new kind. And that perhaps is the real secret to aging well. Not moving on, but moving forward, with memory in your heart. and hope at your side. For number 5, when love leaves, again let gratitude stay. Keywords: natural health for seniors, longevity secrets. It's one thing to lose love once. You grieve, you ache, you learn how to walk again with a part of your heart missing. But to lose love a second time after you've dared to open that heart again, that's a pain only few talk about. Sandra was 69 when she met Ed at a community cooking class. Both had lost their spouses, both were cautious, but over bowls of soup and awkward laughter, a quiet connection formed. They spent 2 years side by side, playing cards on rainy afternoons, grocery shopping together on Sundays. It wasn't passionate like in the movies. It was steady, warm, familiar. And then one October morning, Ed didn't wake up. Sandra said the silence in the house that day felt different. It wasn't just quiet, it was empty. She could have shut down, crawled back into the shell she'd only just left. But this time she had something she didn't have before. Gratitude. Not gratitude that he was gone, but gratitude that he had ever been there at all. Natural health for seniors doesn't just come from nutrition and movement. It comes from mindset, from the ability to feel pain without letting it turn you bitter. Sandra allowed herself to cry. She kept Ed's favorite mug in the cupboard. She looked through their photos, but she also got dressed every morning, went to her walking group, and offered a seat to a new member who had just joined. One of the greatest longevity secrets is learning how to live with loss without letting it steal your joy. According to researchers from the University of California, older adults who practice daily gratitude report better sleep, lower blood pressure, and stronger emotional resilience. It's not just a mindset, it's medicine. Gratitude doesn't erase grief. It simply reminds us that love, even if it ends, was real. Sandra began writing short notes in a journal. Things she noticed, things that still made her smile. A good cup of tea, a robin that visited her windowsill, a neighbor's grandchild waving from across the street. These tiny moments stitched her back together. She started volunteering twice a week at the local senior center. Not because she wanted to fill her schedule, but because she knew what it felt like to sit alone at a table and wish someone would say hello. Helping others didn't take away the pain, it gave it purpose. Love, when lost, carves space inside you, but that space can hold more than sorrow. It can hold wisdom and kindness, and the gentle strength to help someone else carry their burden. Sandra once said Ed was a chapter, not the whole book, and I still have pages left to write. Longevity isn't just about the number of birthdays you celebrate. It's about how you carry the memories of those you've loved and still move forward. There will be nights when the silence presses in again, but there will also be mornings when you notice the light pouring in through the curtains and feel, if only for a moment, a deep sense of peace. Not because the hurt is gone, but because the love remains. And you've chosen to let it guide you, not haunt you. That choice, that quiet daily choice, is what keeps the heart alive, even after it breaks. In the quiet hours of growing older, when the house feels too still and the phone doesn't ring, it's easy to wonder if you've been left behind. But you haven't, because your voice, your presence, your story still matter. And how you live these years is still completely in your hands. You don't need a crowd to feel whole. You just need a reason to get up, to move, to care, even if it starts with something as simple as a morning walk or a friendly hello. That's how Mark began. He didn't erase his grief. He learned how to carry it with grace. Aging gracefully is not about staying the same. It's about growing into someone wiser, softer, and more open than ever before. If this message helped you see aging in a new light, please like this video. And if you'd like more stories, tips, and longevity secrets, subscribe to Live Healthy After 50. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. Your health is your greatest wealth, and your life still has so much to teach.